Mr. Merritt. Yeah.
Senator Graham, other members of this honorable committee, we live in the deadliest police culture and most incarceration-prone police culture in the modern world. Our criminal justice and legal system is as ravenous as it is racist. Our law enforcement community racks up thousands of civilian deaths each year. Tens of thousands more are brutalized, injured, and maimed. Millions more are arrested and jailed, making the United States the single most incarcerated nation in the entire history of the world. This is an American crisis, a genocide. This is not hyperbole, but rather a reality that demands a national response, and I want to thank this committee for taking immediate, swift, and responsive action. I come before you today as a civil rights attorney, a practitioner. I am the legal director for the Grassroots Law Project, and I represent families of citizens killed by police. Some of the names you know, far too many you have not heard. I represent the family of Ahmaud Arbery, who was murdered by a former police officer, Gregory McMichael, his son, Travis McMichael, and their neighbor, William Bryan. While I'm here to provide testimony about justice in policing, and Ahmaud Arbery was not killed in an officer-involved shooting, it was failures in policing that directly contributed to his death and the delay of justice to his family. Neighbors initially sought help for the black jogger that frequented their neighborhood that they considered suspicious from Officer Ronald Rash of the Glenn County Police Department. He encouraged them to pursue a course of vigilantism. He was aware for months that these men were actively hunting a black suspect to whom they intended to do harm. Once the deed was done, it was law enforcement that lied to Wanda Cooper Jones, Ahmaud's mother, telling her that her son had been killed in the course of a robbery by the homeowner. Local DAs Jackie Johnson, George Barnhill participated in the cover-up of his shooting. The Glenn County Police Chief, where this crime occurred, was subsequently arrested on completely separate criminal corruption allegations, along with a handful of his top officials. Ahmaud's story is not just tragic and unjust, it lays bare the need for a reimagining of police in America and their mission in our society. I run a practice dedicated exclusively to responding to police murders. I'm one of many attorneys that has this crisis at the root of their firm as this nation churns out enough bodies and human rights violations to keep us all occupied for a very long time. I continue to stand for the family of George Floyd. Derek Chauvin and other officers of the Minneapolis Police Department held him down for 8 minutes and 46 seconds under the unbearable weight of oppression. He could not breathe, and as the nation looked on in horror, we could not breathe. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellis and Minnesota's top law enforcement official preemptively declared that this would be a case difficult to prosecute. As hard as that is to accept, given the evidence we have now seen with our own eyes, it is consistent with the American experience. Because of existing laws that basically give carte blanche to law enforcement to kill at will with the utterance of these five words, I feared for my life. Hard-fought, rare prosecutions and difficult convictions have characterized the experiences of families like Botham Jean. He was killed in his apartment complex eating a bowl of ice cream. His killer, Amber Geiger, said that she was instructed, that she was trained, that if you can't see the suspect's hands, shoot him. Tatiana Jefferson, also gunned down in her own home after leaving the door open to catch a cool breeze of relief from the heat of the night in Fort Worth, Texas. Fort Worth police officer Erin Dean crept around the back curtilage of her home. I saw her standing in the window and shot her through the bedroom as she played video games with her nephew. The beautiful families that I've traveled with represent a cross-section of America. Disproportionately black, undeniably strong, relentlessly committed to the cause of justice and policing. They include the father of a young woman named Maggie Brooks. Her father is a fire chief in Arlington, Texas. His daughter was accidentally shot by a police officer who recklessly shot at her 6-month-old puppy, but struck Ms. Brooks instead, killing her. Qualified immunity has banned her family access to the court. Under the current federal laws, there will be no criminal or civil liability for this officer or his department. They include the family of Michael Dean, who went out to get his 6-year-old daughter a birthday cake and never made it home. I wish I could tell you what happened to Michael Dean, but the video has still not been released by the department, although the officer has been indicted on manslaughter charges. This family has still not been allowed to see the body or dash cam evidence of what happened to their loved one. They have been denied access to these videos by the city of Temple, Texas, and Bell County District Attorney Henry Garza. Cameron Lamb of Kansas City, Missouri, was unarmed and shot in his place of business and his home. The chief of police in Kansas City, Missouri, has broken with the local district attorney and refused to submit a probable cause affidavit in the case, making prosecution very difficult. Jamel Roberson was a hero from Chicago. He was working as a security guard at a nightclub when the nation was hobbling from one mass shooting to another. A gunman entered his club and began shooting indiscriminately at patrons. Jamel sprang into action, disarming him, and he waited for police to arrive. When responding officer Ian Covey arrived and when told that the suspect was being held around the corner, he quickly went to the scene and shot Jamel Roberson in his back 3 times, killing him. There has been no accountability in that case. Antoine Rose was a 17-year-old, unarmed, when he ran from a traffic stop.
If you could wrap it up, please. Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, looking at the clock, it says I have one. I'm sorry, am I over?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's all right. Just take your time. Wrap it up.
Yes, sir. Antoine Rose was 17 when he ran from a traffic stop. The officer who killed him had just been sworn in the department that day after transferring from another jurisdiction under concerns of racism and brutality. The question we must ask, we must be the generation to answer is, what are we going to do about all of this? Will future generations look back at this moment with pride that we confronted our greatest evils with real courage, or will they be disappointed because we had a moment to make change possible and failed? Right now, that answer still hangs in the balance. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Merritt. Ms. Gupta.